SpacePod number 4, guys.
Yes.
How are you?
Ready.
It's good. We're good.
Good.
How are you doing?
Feeling very refreshed since last time we met.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's been ages.
been a minute.
It's been a minute. And if I recall, the last time we were recording, you were all like Big Lebowski, and now this is like,
He's
like
really
a professor.
turned his life around.
I really have. Like, I quit the heroin. It's been a big change for me.
You're working at the community college?
I'm working at the community college. I got my leather elbow patches.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Andrew's like Miami Vice over here,
Yeah.
so he did
Yeah.
not quit the heroin.
I need to convince people that I have cocaine.
And you like lumberjack style, so you guys are all rocking a little bit.
I'll
of
be a
different
man
vibe.
one day, everybody. One day.
Yeah, one day. Maybe.
We'll get there. So we're here to talk about New Orleans. How do you guys say it? New Orleans?
I say New
I
Orleans.
say New Orleans.
I say New Orleans.
I probably
New
vacillate back and
Orleans?
forth.
I think
Something?
they say something like Nolans.
Nolans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nola.
Nola, yeah.
So if you have any thoughts out there, just type it in the comments.
We have a dog
Yeah.
situation in the
These
background.
dogs won't.
We have
They've
this is a
lost
lot of
their
dogs over
minds.
here.
Yeah.
Chill out.
So that's all I'm going to get into. But as always, we want to ask a couple questions about you guys,
Yeah.
get to know you guys a little
God, are
bit
they
more.
not sick of us yet? Our fans?
I mean,
God, they just know everything.
Ashley
about
is
us.
our fan.
the
that's
fan
it,
base
okay.
is growing.
Yeah, it's
so
Hey, man, we got Devin Lane in Virginia.
Yeah.
Devin, what's up, baby?
My
What's
buddy,
up,
that's my best
bud?
friend Devin. What's up,
Devin?
Devin?
there's no shortage.
We go way back. I miss you, bud.
Yeah.
So obviously, like you have your first album out there. We're promoting it now. But
Yeah.
what's is there any new music you guys are starting to play with? Thinking about album number 2.
Well, there are no less than 4,000 ideas in the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah,
from
we should have
Andrew.
can we have an image just scroll through our WhatsApp
Yeah,
with all the
just
audio files that have been sent over the
Honestly,
last
I'm
couple
putting
months?
them all into ChatGPT, and all the songs are already written. so-
Damn,
Yeah.
dude. Are
Next
they,
4
are they
albums
any
already
good?
done. I mean, honestly, the algorithm is killing it.
Yeah,
Way better. Way
that
better
worries
than-
me. This
Yeah.
is a big concern.
I've heard
for me.
things about ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm
We need to be
scared.
cautious. So
Yeah.
And all the times we talk shit about Alexa, like Alexa, shut the fuck up. Like I'm worried.
Yeah, dude.
I've been nice to her for the last.
We're gonna all
month.
That's
get
good.
like
Yeah.
drone assassinated in the next year.
I've been telling her I appreciate her, and she's like, "I really like that, thank you." And I'm like, "Thank Christ."
It's like you are one of the good ones.
I will put off your suicide. I mean, murder.
Well, that's like an interesting question though, because like, how do you narrow it down? You have so many ideas. You guys are obviously like now you're really in the rhythm of no pun intended, but like now you're in the groove, right? Like you guys have your sound.
That's another pun,
So
actually.
how do you guys narrow it down?
Can
to, like,
can I make a
that's-
comment?
No.
Okay, that's fine. No, it's funny because I will say sometimes these ideas, and these are the idea guys, so I'll just say this. It's like 10 ideas will turn into one song.
Yeah.
So it's not even that we have too many ideas. It's just like, how do we organize it cohesively?
That is the challenge.
Right.
So
Yeah, I often get into, like, if I'm inspired, I will just churn out as many as I can, and then later on, it's like, okay, one of these might end up being a good idea, and then we'll look at keys and see, all right, do we have anything else that kind of fits in with this already sitting around? But
get down.
she wants
But
to
no,
be in the podcast.
I think that
She wants to be famous.
I think she is a beautiful dog. I think that playing live will probably debut new things throughout the summer, and we'll see what tickles our fancy and tickles people's fancies. See what people enjoy, and then that'll probably help. But right now, the big editing process is really for me and for Tom and for Michael. It's just like everybody's opinion in the band. It's like that's how we triangulate on what songs are worth the time and investment, and which ones are not really doing anything for us. 'Cause that's really, even though I talk about like, hey, seeing what people connect with, for us, we're really focused on like, hey, it's not like, oh, this sounds like what could be popular with people. It's like what excites us individually, and that's really where things are going to go.
Yeah.
And I think that there are probably, if I had to forecast, there's going to be deeper dives into things that we're both kind of studying individually, or what Michael's studying, where I could see even heavier jazz influence, since Tom is so passionately pursuing like getting better as a jazz player and pianist. And for myself, like have been working on being a better vocalist for years, and now I feel like I'm finally kind of getting to a place where like I don't hate the sound of my voice. So maybe
That's a big step.
yeah, it's a big step. Yeah.
Well,
Self-love is important.
Yeah.
and for the current album, like, what would you say is a theme? Like, do you have one that knits it all together?
I actually wrote a manifesto that.
Okay, can we change the name of that, please, to something else?
All right.
Maybe say blog.
I-
Less threatening.
Yeah.
I
So
started
I
a
wrote it.
subreddit.
It's called Mine Story or Mine Story.
Oh my god.
And anyway, no, but for me, the album, I kind of wrote a sci-fi concept connecting it all. Where
Oh my god, that's right. I
yeah,
forgot
yeah,
about-
yeah.
Oh my god.
Where basically we are AI robots, and we are broadcasting music to Earth to placate the society, but then we grow sentience, and we decide to use our powers for good rather than control. But if you think about it, music is amazing because music is a way of vibrating the air to manipulate the way that people feel. Like, you could play a piano piece with no lyrics, and it could make you feel happy or sad or any gradient of emotions in between. So that was kind of the concept. Was, hey, we are basically this, central government, like one world government service, just broadcasting, trying to control the population. But then we end up, throwing off the chains of our masters and going out and doing our own thing. So there is a theme to the album. In my mind, but it's a crazy sci-fi one that kind of fits in with the band name Space Lasers.
Yeah.
You're fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah, I'm real crazy, bro.
I want you to say that line again. Like, man, just think about it. Music is just like vibrating the air to control the way people feel.
Dude,
man.
I'm just rehearsing for my spot on Rogan, man.
Yeah. You
Whoa, you just blew my mind.
We on mushrooms again, man?
No, but it's true. I mean, yeah.
No,
that is an
100% it's true.
Yeah. Pretty
It's just
crazy when you
funny.
think about it.
Yeah. Well, which is where I feel like you guys have this like platform to then be able to venture off in these different places, and it doesn't seem so far off. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about where you guys are starting to get into your sweet spot, but what about new musical influences? Is there anything that's come up for you that's like that's really like inspiring me right now?
Gosh, I was introduced to this guy years and years ago by my good friend Danny McMahon. But Brad Meldau, who I just saw in New York a few weeks ago, and I've been really getting into him. God, what a fantastic and creative piano player he is. And it's interesting because he's kind of getting older, and he's kind of turning into this like old sweetheart of a man who just destroys the piano. Like, and I'm just watching that obsessively lately.
Mike?
I have nothing. So, in terms of any new things,
Well, I mean,
Come on, we've been getting really into Lenny Kravitz.
let me. Let's not talk about side things. Let Andrew go.
Tell me
and I'll
about your
try
side
and think,
piece.
Right. I'll try and think of anything that would be like something new and pushing me.
Yeah. So for me, as I'm getting older, I'm going back to all the things that I hated as a kid that were pushed on me. There have been lots of bands like this, like Springsteen. My dad is one of the world's biggest Springsteen fans. He's seen him over 100 plus times in concert. But
That's so many times.
it is, but I mean, you got to think that he, grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and Springsteen played there every weekend. He would just go to the local bar and pay maybe $2 at that 1970s rate, like cover charge, to go see Steel Mill, Springsteen's band, where he was like in a power trio like Cream, and he was playing lead guitar, and then it became the Bruce Springsteen band.
Is he a good lead player?
He's a phenomenal lead player.
No kidding. I never really heard that.
He never did it as Springsteen, the solo artist. Like, he has some good solos, but like back in the day, he was playing Les Pauls and just shredding.
Dang.
And and he was learning how to sing and how to be a front man, but his guitar playing was always the strongest thing. Like, that's the thing that people knew about him.
Wow.
And then he had like Dr. Zoom and the Sonic Boom. Anyway, Springsteen, I always think of as like flamboyant masculinity. It's like if Freddie Mercury was straight. That's Springsteen. It's
Flamboyant masculine. That's
Yeah,
great. That's
but
a
it-
great term.
Yeah, but it's like, but I mean, it's still like very emotionally.
Band name
venting.
called it.
Yeah, flamboyant masculinity. But if you listen to like Thunder Road, it's all about getting out of the town you feel like is holding you back. Or Adam Ray's Decaying. Springsteen has a lot of songs about daddy issues, and I mean that in the best way. It's like all about fathers and sons, and
Right.
Okay.
But
You're a Jersey girl. Like you must have Springsteen background.
I mean, I know a lot of people that went to Springsteen and Bon Jovi shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my connection.
She's
Yeah.
stopping there.
But I would say for me,
Tell us more about these people.
No,
It was me many times.
yeah. I mean, Bon Jovi, again, I love studying the voice, and he's hitting a rough patch. I hope he gets through it, but his voice is hurting.
I don't think they get through it at that age.
I mean, I think you can get surgeries, but maybe he had a botched one, and they're just not talking about it. Richie Sambora still singing strong, but Bon Jovi, he's hitting some hard times. He needs to take some rest. But anyway, back to influences like Sting. I always loved the Police, or for most of my life, I've loved Police. And my dad was a big Sting fan in like the 80s and 90s and loved his solo albums. And I always thought they were just like bland, like world music. Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
'Cause my dad was the same. He would put those on.
yeah, and I just immediately was repulsed because this was around when Nirvana was around. And this was like the opposite.
Right.
It's like all of these very smooth sounding albums, and I was just not digging it. And now as an adult, I'm like, this shit is incredible. Like, the music is incredibly made. The vocals are great. The lyrics are great. And that's my current big influence is like Sting, I'd say. And it's something that I used to despise. And
Yeah. But
having-
you've lived a life now, so maybe that's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lived a life. Yeah. And I can still...
You're getting into dad music,
getting into dad
basically, is what's happening.
But, I can still see the pretentiousness of it, but I still like it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like I've always loved Queen, and I can see the pretentiousness of Queen, but that's kind of like the draw, But with Sting, it's like he is even as, whatever spiritual practice he's following, he's kind of lacks a self-awareness around just how pretentious he seems. And I'm okay with that because the music is so good. And even then, your crunchy friend sometimes has something to teach you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he gave you more than enough time.
Sorry.
No, I fell asleep. I'm just kidding. It was lovely.
What'd you come up with?
Come on, man. I dropped that flamboyant masculinity. That was
See?
worth at least a few minutes of time.
Right?
That was
Yeah,
so...
come
That's
on.
the next hashtag.
I was too busy just playing jokes through my head. Like, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, I just honestly, if I'm thinking of anything we can do as like the go forward for this year for the band, it's maybe just think more critically, listen more critically, be more open to the ideas that the guys send, and just give it time. Like, let it sink in. Actually listen.
Let that sink in.
Right, let that sink in. Just insert quote here.
You told me you've been listening to jazz.
Yeah, but not the jazz that you would say. Like more like relaxing, casual
No,
jazz.
that's fine. Yeah,
like
yeah.
freeform with no, like I don't know who does it.
Like you just put on like a jazz Sundays morning
Yes.
playlist.
Yeah, and it's super
That shit's
relaxing.
still great, though.
But it's
dude.
not. But see, now we're getting in a different area though, because I'm not thinking musically. I'm just
Okay.
like chilling.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but no.
Yeah.
So when I just think of the stuff that they send, just try not to think of it through my own box that is very kind of closed off, and I know the things I know, and that's where I'm comfortable. But
Yeah.
like, how can I like incorporate this and maybe change some of the ways I would typically do something. So
Yeah.
and a great example of like maybe the end of last year was we had to re-record a song, and I remember Andrew he's like sat me down. He's like really think about like intentionally think about what we're playing here, and I didn't do that a lot. So I guess that's not necessarily a specific musical influence, but maybe just like a musical
Well, you've been listening to Andrew Saunders.
thought.
It's like musical mindfulness,
Yeah, like
if you will.
yeah, like practice.
If we have one hashtag, let's get another.
Guys,
zero.
we're just banging them out here.
Nah.
We gotta add all these hashtags at the bottom of our songs. So maybe not a specific musical thing, more
Yeah.
just like just be more conscious about like the musical choices you're making. So.
Well, and I think you're going to get a little bit of the reaction, like you're going to play this out in gigs and in your shows. So you'll see that played back to you too, and that might open up some avenues. But just so on that note, you know, kind of riffing off the New Orleans, like the newness of everything.
Yes.
We know that the music scene in Charlotte is a little bit different and a little new, based on post-COVID.
baby scene.
Yeah.
So just curious, like what what is new about it? How are you guys navigating the current scene in Charlotte?
I think we're just getting into it. Like we're really just starting to explore. I think it's there more than I would have admitted recently, and because I've been here for 7 years now, and I've always kind of complained that there isn't a cohesive music scene, and I will still say that. But at the same time, I think there's more going on than I gave credit to.
Well, and
I'm starting to see it.
And I think there's a difference, right? There is a cover music scene, and it's still small, very limited.
Right.
But like for what we do, and I think maybe that's the bigger complaint for you, Tom.
Yeah, for sure.
Is no one has really tried to hone that audience, right? Like to create that, almost like what would be a tech scene. Like an original live music scene.
Yeah.
It's really not. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. I'm trying to be positive. You know,
I think part of it is that we're on, and I'm coming from the West Coast, so to speak. And I think we're on the East Coast in the sense that, like, if you want to make a name for yourself in music in this region, you're gonna go down to Atlanta. Or you're going to go up to like the New York area or something.
Yeah.
You're not going to. Most people aren't going to stick around and try to make a go of it in Charlotte, and so we get a little bit of a brain drain, perhaps.
Yeah, like even major acts skip Charlotte right now.
Not as much. I mean, we get a lot of.
We get some, but it's still like you get maybe major acts that will sell out like a huge venue. But as far as like, you know, bands that are on the up and up, but making their way across the country, they're going to go to Raleigh, Greensboro. They're not going to come here.
Yeah, there is more of a...
Peppers here. What are you talking about?
But like if you go up to Richmond, where Andrew's from, and we've played and hung out to some degree, it's like you feel a difference.
Yeah.
You feel that there is
there's like an
interest,
undercurrent of,
energy for original music and stuff
Right.
like this, which is really hard to come by.
Yeah.
Original and good.
Yeah.
Like we have original music in Charlotte, and I hope there's not a lot of Charlotteans listening.
Nah,
But it's
there
like
could be.
bluegrass, and it's just not our style. But like when we went to Richmond, like it's like good music,
Yeah.
good original music.
And I'll say that's true for like Asheville too. So like Richmond, Asheville, you're getting
Probably
like
Raleigh,
more
Durham.
of the more of the underground music there.
Yeah, and I feel like in Charlotte right now, it's still to the level of if you go to a local show, it's going to be people who are direct friends of the band and maybe one person removed. Whereas I feel like in Richmond and other larger scenes, like that show is the place to be.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to happen with Charlotte, either us or someone else who is really got something that connects with people that will really get asses into the venue and will really drive it versus it just being like, oh, my friend's playing and let's go and it'll be something to do and we'll go hang out and drink and this will be the background music versus this band's amazing. We go.
But this is such a big topic, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot to unpack, and a part of it might be that Charlotte is this big banking city, and so you get these these people that come in from all across the country. They don't feel a connection to the city.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they belong or that it's something meaningful to them. They came here to work at a mid-management job at a bank, and they go to breweries on the weekends or whatever, and it's like
fucking daggers into my heart right now.
Maybe Space Lasers is the missing puzzle piece.
I mean,
you guys will unite.
Doubtful,
Charlotte
but sure.
let's be positive. We're gonna do our best for sure. you know?
Oh, that's all we ever do. We go out and then like we play, and we just
And we
have
played
fun.
we played at Starlight a couple weeks ago, and the crowd response, I will say, was like, "Holy shit! Like they're into this."
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
Well, that's it. Like you guys don't just like go and half-ass it. Like you give a real show. So that's the difference.
And I feel like there are really good advocates for the Charlotte scene. I think the owners at Starlight and Evening Muse both have really just we go out and try and get shows booked and also meet people. I went to the musicians meetup, and the one of the owners of the Evening Muse spoke there, and it was fantastic. And I think that there are really strong advocates for the Charlotte scene who are like pushing to make it something special. And I think it really could make that leap in the next year or two. We're here post-pandemic. People are actually coming back out again. And I feel like there are a lot of creatives in the city who just need that opportunity to be heard.
Yeah. There's
and
a
we
demand.
need to support each other.
Yeah.
We need to be like, have you heard about this band or this singer or this poet or whatever?
Right.
And like the cross promotion and the kind of like making friendships and all that kind of stuff. That's huge.
And we also got to say, there are great musicians in this town. Like,
For sure.
Go to Petra's and
On a Monday
people
night, yeah, it's like
shred your face
blow
off
your
with jazz.
fucking mind. These people, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the song at hand a little bit. New
Yes.
Orleans at or New Orleans,
No-
however you want to say it.
Nola.
However you want to say it. So this one is interesting compared to the rest of the album. It's a little moodier, a little more mysterious,
Kind of sultry.
So, yeah. So tell me about the story there. Like, what is New Orleans about in your mind?
Well, as we all know, New Orleans was utterly destroyed by Hurricane Katrina at one point in 2005, actually. And I think we sort of how do you say it? Like, we don't acknowledge as a society how crazy that was, right? Like, it was just an entire city. One of the touchstones of our culture and our history was completely destroyed. Like a nuclear bomb almost, right? And I, as a musician, and when that happened, thought, this is really, this is where jazz came from. This is the American art form. This is who we are. And I sort of felt like the political social response was lacking. And there was that whole thing where Kanye West was like, George W. Bush doesn't care about black people. And he's crazy as shit.
Kanye,
we all
the
know
font
that.
of all knowledge.
Right, but like, dude, he's right. He was totally right. Like, and it wasn't just about black people or whatever, but it was about just this, just one of our great cities, and I felt inspired to write the song about it.
Yeah, and it's for me too. Like, just to add on, there are cities that are, majority black. That if this had happened there would have been more of a response. I think with New Orleans, like if it was Atlanta, it's a financial capital as well.
Right.
New Orleans is an arts capital.
Yeah, there's not a hell of a lot of money going into and coming out of that as much
exactly. So it's
some
not
other places.
just necessarily about race, though. That's always in America that kind of cuts through everything. But it's also about just the bottom line. And hey, in Atlanta, we've got too many Fortune 500 companies, and for that kind of response to have ever happened. Whereas within New Orleans, it's like, oh, this is an arts city,
right. And it was 4 years after 9/11, in which the American city, the New York City was, and like the entire world, not just America, but the entire world was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then New Orleans happens relatively soon after, and we're all kind of like,
Yeah.
We were worried about the war in Iraq and various other things, and we just sort of let it go by.
Yeah.
That was really sad to me, So I that's kind of why I wrote the song.
Did you write that pretty shortly after?
Within a couple years of it, maybe.
So this has been kind of in the archives for a
Yeah,
while,
this
and then
is
you
a
brought it
long
back out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed that there's an unresolved chord progression within
Look at
the
Beato
song.
over here.
Yeah.
Is that symbolic?
Dropping the Beato bomb.
Beato break.
Right.
Is that symbolic of the non-resolution that we had in that era?
I never would have thought of that on my own, but maybe let's say there is. As far as the lore of this tune, like let's say yes, because it is true that New Orleans to this day, 18 years later,
There you go.
it's been a few of those, is still not totally recovered. I
Yeah.
was there last year, and there's still parts that are. You can see where the floods happened and the things haven't been rebuilt.
No, I think I was there 5 years ago or so, and
Yeah.
you could still see the flood lines in the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And there was still a lot of the ceilings hadn't been repaired fully, so you
Right.
could just like see through.
Yeah.
And
Just
there's people
amazing.
living there. They're living their life, and
I
they're
ate dinner in that building that like you could see the stains from the flooding, and then there was
Wow.
like actively insulation coming down over like the hostess stand.
Crazy.
And this is like off of, you know,
Right.
the main street. You know?
And isn't this wild? This is America. This is the pinnacle
Yeah.
Go to
of human
Detroit.
civilization, right? And we're not.
Yeah.
Would you relate that to
Priorities.
any current situations?
I don't know.
Let's think about this. So any case where a part of America is being neglected?
Well, yeah, there was. What is it? Flint still hasn't had their
Oh,
water.
like was it Mississippi or Alabama? I think it's Mississippi. Like the capital of Mississippi has no water. Like
Yeah.
it's just totally polluted.
I mean, the
That's
infrastructure bill
ridiculous.
got signed, but I mean, those projects take a long time. Like our roads and bridges are crumbling across
Yeah.
the country.
I think
yeah.
you can't cross the bridge in Memphis at this point.
Wow.
Wow.
And talk about another of America's like musical.
Yeah, I mean,
heritage.
Yeah.
still, I think you got Eric Gales coming out of there. He's phenomenal.
Mhm.
I went to the Memphis Music Festival backslime. Killer guitarist. Yeah,
I think
good
that,
music scene there.
but that point, I think that what Tom was making is, it's true to all these scenarios.
Yeah.
It's like what comes out of that city. Like these aren't hubs. These aren't Charlotte's second financial capital of the country
Yeah.
outside of New York. Like Mississippi. And granted, I'm not living in these states, but it's like these places aren't like producing, actively producing. The things apparently that matter to the people that are in charge of things as simple as just like, let's get some
Fixing
fucking
the
pipes.
bridge or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like, can we get some clean drinking water?
So they're not
But
giving
it's
us
not-
anything. So we're not going to get
Yeah.
I don't- yeah,
prioritize them
it's
and-
right.
But at
if-
the same
if-
time, in 150, 200 year, 1,000 years, when people think, what is America? They're going to look at the shit that came out of those cities.
Well, and you hear
know?
constantly like people come to America and they're like driving through the streets of these certain towns. They're like, this is like, well, this is America. Like this, your infrastructure is like you get holes in your bridges.
Yeah.
It's like it's a surprise to them because they perceive America to be so affluent. All these
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a sole example, like a singular thing that happened.
Yeah.
It was very big though, like
Right.
in that moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the unresolved nature of it, and it will never be resolved. It will
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
be where it needs to be, and that's okay because that's what we are as a country, is to try to keep addressing, keep trying, keep fixing, keep.
But can we maybe not build a city underground, like underwater? Maybe not do that.
I don't think they knew that in like
I
1750
think they
or
did.
whatever.
I
Maybe they
think
did.
they
Yeah, you're
did.
right. You're right.
It's like they built LA and they were like, we got water. And they're like, no, we don't. We're like, we got water though, right? They're
Sorry.
like, okay.
There will be a New Orleans in the waterfront property of Oklahoma.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know?
Charlotte's going to be, we're going to be beachfront at some point.
Yeah.
That'll
Hell
be
yeah,
cool.
let's do it,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
We'll just start doing Sublime and what is it?
Ska?
Willie Nelson tunes? No,
Yeah.
what's fucking Margaritaville? Who the hell is that guy?
Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Buffett.
Buffett?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
God.
Well, I mean, this is what it's all about because your music incites this type of conversation. So,
I was going to say incites violence. I was like, I hope not.
or
Yeah.
that sometimes.
No, like that Canadian rapper, his music incites violence. Maybe you could be like him.
don't
It's a
know
lot
who
of
that
views.
is.
A lot of views. Todd McDonald's.
It's Island Boys?
That'll
Oh.
be the next album right there.
Yeah.
That was the worst like online dating date that I'd ever had, where this girl was like, "Oh man, he's the next Eminem," and then she played this for me, and it was like this alt-right, like terrible rap. But I mean, hey, whatever, guys got fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MAGA baby.
He's
Who
making
knows?
money.
Anyway. Sorry.
So
I'm trying to get us views being controversial. Let's get Jordan Peterson.
Are
on
we
the spot.
drunk? This seems to be off the
Yeah,
rails.
it does help for us. So let's talk
I'll bring us back. I'll bring
Yeah,
us back
bring
with
us
our,
back, Ashley.
our final
Music.
question.
Yeah.
Before the dogs get wild too.
Yeah.
So you guys have a lot of texture in this song too. There's horns, there's guitar, there's organ. So tell me about that experience. What makes you want to pull that into the song?
Well, I'll just say that I know Tom had envisioned, and I think we discussed one in a previous podcast, horn sections in at least 2 songs. So this being the second one, so I'll just speak to that portion. So my father had come to visit, played with us. We had like a good time, and then I think
I mean, Michael's father's an excellent trumpet player.
yeah. And I know. I think Tom just connected with him, sent him the song, and I think this one was a little bit out of his comfort zone, in the sense that I think he's typically
Interesting.
used to just playing structured like parts and pieces,
Yeah. Written parts.
and yeah, that's what he knows how to do all that stuff, and it's normal to him. He does a lot of plays, and shows. But this, it's like he just had all this open space. So I remember.
Yeah, it's like 2 straight minutes.
Yeah,
it's like 2 minutes. So
and it's fucking fantastic. And I could see the hesitance or the reticence in his in discussing I hope that was kind of the intention of what you wanted. And I was like, this is fantastic.
Really? Like he was insecure about it?
No, he definitely, there was a sense of, I can do it again. If this isn't the direction, it's no.
Okay, well, Big Mike, it was fucking badass.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Right.
There was no structure. It was a want, right, or a wish, I guess we can say. And I think it was just nailed. Especially, and I think this is, Tom, where he's like, I don't want to step on what you were doing on the piano.
Oh no, that was just for fun.
Okay,
He
my
didn't.
bad, everybody. I'm moving on to the next.
Yeah, no, that's
somebody else
fine.
takes
That's
this
fine.
away.
No, he liked my piano solo in Just for Fun, and
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
very warmed my little heart when he said that. But no, that's a different song.
Well,
These-
I
these
think
dogs.
I know they're all over the place. I was going to say
They have a podcast to shoot in 10 minutes, everybody.
Yeah.
So
They're
let's
kicking us out.
dogcast. So
you have all the dogs right now, by the way.
this is
Yeah.
wild.
But I was just going to say, without the horns, I feel like, now knowing the meaning of the song, it just makes it that much more meaningful.
Yeah, you got to have a horns in a song about New Orleans.
I mean,
Right.
Jesus,
You
Tom,
know?
you really dropped the ball there initially.
I never really played with horn players.
Yeah.
No,
But
but what's great about the song, and then Tom, you could take it away, but it doesn't need it. The song is fantastic,
Yeah, thank you.
and the horns just make it better. But when we play this, we played it live the other day, and it was fucking great. It's just such a great song, and it puts
a great
you,
live
I feel
song.
like it puts you in that place.
Yeah.
It does.
So,
And there was
I
there
see
was
somebody by the street light, playing
Yeah.
their trumpet.
So-
yeah, that's right. That's right.
even
Like,
without
yeah.
the trumpet, though, you still see the trumpet.
Right.
yeah, that's
We're
right.
playing it without the trumpet, and you're like, "There's a trumpet somewhere," and you're just looking for it on the streets. So.
Yeah, but in the process of recording it, we did sort of little guitar lines or organ. I at one point experimented with playing organ on the whole thing, and I scrapped it. I was like, I don't like it. It's too much. It's too much sound or whatever. And you talk about this part.
All right, so I think, did you two track the guitar and the drums live together?
Let's just say yes.
Yeah.
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah, so you two did those tracks together, and I added bass later, and I'll say that, as somebody came up as a rock bassist, the nature of playing rock music is you rush. You play ahead of the beat. This one I'd really tried hard to lay back, and I think it gives it a good vibe. But then, Tom had a very solid structure for guitar, but then he tried out a bunch of things, and he wasn't happy with any of them. And I was like, well, there's some gold in them, they're hills. So I went and looked back at the guitar leads that he had played and at the organ parts. And after we had the trumpet in, it's like, all right, we need to give that trumpet, or I guess it was a cornet, right?
Flugelhorn, I believe. Yeah.
Flugelhorn. We need to give that center stage. But then I heard the song, and I was like, all right, we definitely have kind of a very noir kind of track here, but I think we could add a little bit of a trip-hop kind of vibe. And I was like, all right, I will turn some of the best bits, what Tom did on organ and guitar, into loops, and I'll find the exact right place to create a call and response with a trumpet. So I did it, sent it out, and you can give the response.
Yeah, we got the mix back from Damon at Atlanta, and I was like, what? Where is what? It really sort of blew my mind, and I was like, this is amazing. Because you just edited it in, and I didn't even know it. In my mind, I thought we just deleted it.
Surprise, fucker!
Yeah. And I was, wait, there's organ on this song?
No, it's great. It's one of my favorite just mixes on the album. So.
Yeah.
There's a little organ.
Yeah.
And then the good delayed guitar.
Little delay guitar. Yeah.
It is. It is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
So it's a good one.
Yeah.
So check it out, New Orleans. It's available on Spotify,
Nolans,
Apple
NAW.
Music.
Spotify, Apple Music,
Amazon.
Tidal. all the streaming services. You could
Yeah.
possibly
Truth
watch.
Social.
And I think there might be live videos coming out for this as well. So,
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And if you are in the Charlotte area, check out their band roster. They'll put out the shows
we'll
for
be
you. and
playing a
schedule.
lot of local shows in the next couple months.
What is
so.
it? February 18th at Starlight.
Yeah, and then 27th at Evening Muse.
Yes.
February 27th.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's 100% lockdown, and I think we're going to be playing Charlotte Shout Festival.
Yeah,
which is-
Charlotte
So
Shout.
there's a lot coming up, and
Yes.
so just make sure you follow our Instagram and
Yeah.
Yeah. Smash that
Our
subscribe
Truth Social
button.
page.
Yeah.
Smash that subscribe.
Smash that
like.
subscribe button.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
And while you're there, tell us what you want to hear on the next SpacePod.
Yes.
Yeah, give us questions. We'll do a little Q&A, baby.
Little Q&A.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye all.
Bye.